All right, good morning. Good morning. Thursday, 15th of January. Let's have a look what's going on. So yesterday we had a initial move up, which sellers then came in, pushed the market down below the overnight range. And I wasn't trading this yesterday, but there were some good trades on. So we had a break and retest here of this level. The market broke, tried to push back up, and then came and sold off. This would have been a good entry down here. And also, again, you got a break and retest of the overnight range. We broke below on this candle. We tried to come back in and immediately sold. So a couple. Now, I'm hoping this allows me to do the 3 screens today. If it keeps crashing, then I will have to change that. But yeah, yesterday there were some decent opportunities. Today's a similar day. Could be trades either long or short, depending on where we go from the overnight range. We've got the previous day close just down here, and then about another 70 points further on, we've got the previous day low. So let's see where we go. Market's really testing the previous day closing price from yesterday. Okay, market's quite weak here off the open. You could consider here a break and retest of the previous day close or the overnight range if we get the opportunity. Okay, I'm now short the DAX. Let me just change screens. So I'm short here. On a break and retest of the previous day's closing price. Looking for the market to break below the current lows, and then I'll be moving stop loss down. Market's really knocking on the door of the lows. It's just whether or not it's going to be able to push through or not. Okay, well the market's trying. Stop loss is now going to break even. I've closed half the position, and I'd like to let the rest run as much as possible. I took half profit because we reached a 1R trade. It's a good trade though. It's a good trade. This is a very classic break and retest. So I'm just going to go back to the back to trading view. So we have our overnight range low here. The market broke the overnight range immediately, but then we have the previous day close, which acts as support. We broke through that, and then it's this candle here that matters. Flag it. That's the candle, that one right there. That's the all important candle, because that's where we've retested and rejected, and that's my signal to be short. Sorry, again the screen's disappeared. I really don't know why that happens. Some mornings it's absolutely fine. I've closed another half. Okay, I've closed it all now. So that was a good, what was that? 4, 5. Yeah, that's almost exactly a 1R trade, which is really nice. Really nice. Well executed. So this is the sort of trade I've been looking to get back to. So you'll notice there's no volume profile this morning. No volume profile. And this isn't because, well, now, okay, the market's moving up again. That was a good time to close it. So the volume profile, which I looked at a lot over Christmas. When I'm looking at a completed chart, so when, I'm looking back at previous days trading, the levels that the volume profile gives seem super clear. But when I try to pair that with my break and retest strategy, which you just saw there, I find it can tend to cause problems in terms of conflicting signals. Where the price action, the chart is telling me to do one thing, and then the volume profile may be telling me to do another. So I'll just see if I can create an example. One moment, we've got a potential another break and retest here. Okay, no, I'm going to leave it. But yeah, so, if we draw yesterday's volume profile, which we've got here, we're at the value area low now of yesterday. And that is suggesting potentially that the market could find support here. So what that isn't telling me to buy. That is not telling me to buy. That's just it's just an indicator of potential value in the market. But what it was doing for me was making me hesitate whether or not to short the market through fear of buyers coming in. So this morning, had I seen that, I may have been like, okay, I'm actually not going to short because I think buyers are going to come in at the value area low. So then I either don't trade which is obviously a problem because I've missed out on a winning trade, or I do the complete bloody opposite, which is even more of a problem. Now I could have actually potentially re-entered. I missed it, and I'm not going to chase after it. But this candle here, we've had a retest of the low of this area low, so it could have potentially entered on the close of this candle, but I'm not going to chase after it now. And we are now actually close to the previous day low, which is a level that I do not want to be shorting into. So yeah, we'll just leave it now. We'll leave it and let the market do what it wants to do. What's the time? Okay, it's nearly past. Okay, so the plan now is to either see the market break the previous day low, in which case we could have more shorts on our hands, or we see the market retrace up to the previous day close, in which case we would also have shorts on our hands, because we're below the previous day close, below the overnight range, so we are only shorting in this area here. So whenever I can probably do 2 screens for a bit, because I'm not going to be entering any trades anytime now. I'm just going to sort out my screens. Try and stop it from crashing. Right. Okay. So every time I enter a trade, it should look something like this. If it's a short trade, where we have a break of a predetermined level, which was the previous day close, and then this is the candle that I have to wait for in order to trade. And everything I need to know is within this candle, because we've had a break back above, and then which is indicated by the wick, which is the straight line above the body, and then we've come back down and closed below. So we've actually opened back above, we've pushed higher, and then we've very strongly pushed back down, and then stop loss can go above this candle here. So the market's just sort of slowly grinding lower. We're in a fairly clear downtrend right now. One thing I can quickly show you is this. So this is my actual. These are the actual. This is the strategy step by step. So if the market breaks a key level, we had the previous day close. The market pulls back to the breakout area. We had that, and then we had a clear bearish candle, which breaks away. And then we entered on the close of that breaker candle with a stop loss above, and then take profit at the high or low of the session. We didn't do that because we were expectant that there would be further downside. So we took profit once we hit 1R, which was nice. Now, the only thing I could have done better here, which I've written down on here, I've got copying a real top trader in America, something called a daily report card, where you sort of grade yourself pre-market and then at regular intervals throughout the session. I think the only thing I could have done better there was maybe let half the position run down for longer. But at the same time, the market's not exactly gone miles beyond where I took profit. So, but yeah, I could have let a little bit more run. One thing I would like to show you from yesterday is a trade that would have been really good if I was trading it. So I didn't sleep very well yesterday, so I didn't really trade very long at all. I was only on there for like 20 minutes. But this test of VWAP was a really good one, where the market pushed down below the low of the session and then pushed back up to VWAP and then rejected it strongly. A short around here would have been a really good trade. And I'm just telling you that because we may have the same situation setting up here. So we've got VWAP here, which is a trailing moving average. Now, if we do come up here and reject it strongly, then I'll be going short again. But we need to see confirmation, meaning we need to see it hit, but also push back down. So for me to take this trade, it does need to be a pretty clear, obvious, strong rejection, because we have gotten very close to yesterday's low, where buyers have come in. I don't want to get in the way of a change of trend, but the fact that VWAP also is in the same point where we initially broke out from, it's a nice little confluence, but we need to see a real nice strong red candle form. Otherwise, I will just be letting the market move higher. So there does seem to be a bit of a reaction here. So if the candle closes strongly red, then I will look to short with a stop loss above. Okay, well, the market temporarily pushed it down below, but now buyers are coming in again. Okay. Okay, no, so buyers won that candle. Doesn't mean the next one won't give us the rejection. So we still want to be standing by. So this moving average is a point where it's a bit of a test for the market, because if we do push above, then that's an indication that the trend has reversed and we're now in an uptrend. But if we reject back down, then we are still in the downtrend, which is why you can see quite a lot of action going on at this level. Now, the important thing for me is that I don't enter until that battle has been won. If it's won by the sellers, then I'll trade. If it's won by the buyers, then I won't be trading, because we've got more possible resistance and short opportunities ahead. So again, we've had a push down, and then right as the candle's about to close, we've had buyers come in and push it back up. So again, even though this candle's going to close slightly red, this is not the candle to short off of. Again, could be the next candle, but I would say now that we've held for 2 candles in a row, it's more likely that the market's going to push higher, but no guarantee. If the market does push higher, then we'll be looking back at the previous day close again for potential short, given that that was where we initially took our first trade from. 15-minute candle just closed, as you can see on the left here, closing right at the highs, which is fairly bullish as well. Now, we don't trade based off of these higher time frames, but we want to be aware of what they're telling us. Okay, so the market's held VWAP up, certainly tried to push down. The market's obviously not weak enough to do so, but that's not a problem because our entry rules stopped us from entering too early. So now we've got sellers coming in above prior bar high, just like we had buyers come in below prior bar low on the 15-minute chart. But now we're probably looking back at the previous day close. So let's just zoom out a minute and have a look where we are. So we had Monday morning, this support level, this is where we are now. So we're at the lows for the week. This is now, we were there Monday morning, we were there yesterday evening, and now we're here again. And the question is, on a longer term scale, not that this affects my trading, but whether the market is now going to hold this low and now push higher again, or whether we're going to go into the red for the week and push back into last week's range. Now, for me, as a short-term trader, that doesn't affect me, but it does mean we want to be slightly careful about shorting down near this potential major support level. And that's why I didn't hang around in my first trade for too long. As if I had tried to hold it all the way down into yesterday's low, it would never have gotten there. And I'd now be back to where I started. I'll often regret taking profit slightly, within a few minutes after I close the trade, but I often end up in hindsight looking back at it and thinking, oh, actually that was okay. So we are again trying to push lower again, but now that we've broken above VWAP, it's not so attractive to short into it, because now VWAP could be acting as support rather than resistance. So for us to short, we'd need to see a push down and then once again another retest and rejection. We're not just going to short on any random red candle. So yeah, as you can see there, we've now got VWAP acting as support, so that's where buyers are coming in. Potential other areas where selling could happen is right now, or it could move up to the previous day close, or we could be moving back up to the open. I will do a separate stream later to review today in a sort of 5 to 10 minute, nice concise package, hopefully. Okay, I'm going to go and get some breakfast, which I've got waiting in the fridge, and then I'll come back because I don't really want to take any trades right before 9 o'clock. So let's see what happens at 9 o'clock. Let's see where the hourly candle closes, and then we'll make a game plan from there. So I'll be back before 9 o'clock. Okay, the market seems to have settled down into a bit of a range here, so not looking to get involved too hastily. So hourly candle closing in 30 seconds, and it's certainly red, certainly negative. It's just the question is whether we're gonna push back down to the lows again, or is that going to be the low of the morning, and we're either just going to move sideways or slowly grind back up to where we started. This isn't the sort of price action you really want to see. You know, for me to take another trade, there needs to be some real strong move down, and then trade a retest of the low of this level. Yeah, because at the moment that's not very attractive at all. And we're quite a long way from me wanting to be long. We're quite a long way from that. So the only possibility that we get another trade today is if we can short below here. Which is certainly possible, by the way. Certainly a possibility that can happen. We had that, we had a strong green candle here, and then sort of the market slowing down. So what I'm concerned about is the market entering into a range and me shorting at the bottom of that range. So what we need to see is some price action where there's undeniable weakness. And that candle there is a good start. If we see follow through, we'll then be looking for a retest. Okay, well that's some of the weakness we were looking for. So what we want to see now is a move back towards VWAP, and then a clear, undeniable rejection. Now, if the market just goes down without any sort of retracement, then you just have to accept that. Because sometimes you just won't get the chance to get into the trade. But waiting for retest and waiting for confirmation is what makes this strategy a high win rate strategy. Without the retest, it's not high win rate. unfortunately, market isn't giving us any sort of retest at the moment. So we're coming back down to the lows. Now, I don't want to be shorting into the previous day low. So for me to make any trades, we're either going to have to come back to VWAP or we're going to have to break below yesterday's low. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is end the stream there, and then I'll come back at about, let's say, 10:30 to do a review. No need to be there live because it's a review, so you can watch it whenever. But yeah, around 10:30, I'll come back to do a review. If the market does move again in the next 20-30 minutes and I take a trade, then I will talk about that trade in the review. But I don't really just want to sit here for the next hour and 15 minutes because the market's got to move quite a long way for me to get interested. The reason being is that it's not just the previous day low that I'm looking at. It's Monday's low. So the low of the week, which is here, 206. So let's call it 200. So unless the market can break below 25,200, I'm not going to short. So we need to see a complete failure to hold the week's lows, or we need to move back up to VWAP. So one or the other. But while we sit in this sort of, 60-point range, I just see it as a range, and I don't trade ranges. So yeah. So good morning, though. Good morning. This was my favorite morning of the year so far. It's not the most profitable morning I've had of the year, but it was the morning with the most clarity, the most confidence, the most understanding in why I'm doing what I'm doing. So yeah, feel really good. And this is it now. This is what I'm sticking with. Price action, breakout retest. Simple stuff. Simple stuff. So yeah, you can expect this to be how I trade going forward for the foreseeable future. In regards to my challenge, unless I pass this challenge, I do not plan on doing another challenge with FTMO, because having looked deeper into the rules, once I pass a challenge and get funded, I don't want to have a trailing account stop loss forever. So with FTMO, we've got that 10% trailing stop loss on the account indefinitely, no matter how much I grow it. And I don't really want that hanging over me when there's an option that's better than that. So yeah, essentially what I'd like to get is probably 2 weeks from now of this just real consistent, simple break and retest trading under my belt. A couple of weeks of just, consistency. And it's not so much about the profits, because I am in profit so far for this year, but it's the way that I'm in profit. I want to just take the same trades over and over again. 2 weeks. So let's call it to the end of this month, end of January. And then we'll see where we're at. And I think then the plan would be to take the challenge, a new challenge with the other prop firm, and then go into that with some real confidence. Because yeah, I feel good. I'll be back for a review later, and then same plan again tomorrow, live at 8 o'clock, review later in the morning.